Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're calling in from. I have got a really, really cool presentation that met Pat by coincidence at a bar in Atlanta. And I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I built the Thrive application." I was like, "Oh my God, you are PowerApps royalty." And him being modest and humble said, "Not a chance. That's not me." But he is. Wrote the white paper, wrote the Thrive app, one of the first people at Microsoft to use PowerApps. Here with Vanu, and they're going to walk us through how they created some of the architecture and what their experiences were. Is that fair? Is that kind of what you guys were thinking you're going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited to present what we've done over the past few years. Is that how we met?
I thought we met through official channels. We were sitting at a bar, and I'm like, who are you? And then that's how we met.
And that's how we met. Charles has said that we're celebrities, minor celebrities. I don't know. I mean, what's beneath the D list? You know, we don't get invited to any of the best after parties. I can tell you that much right now. My name is Pat Dunn. I'm a technical program manager at Microsoft. Been here forever. Started as a developer way back when in the HR IT space, just writing applications like our external career site, our interview management tool, and so forth. Over the past few years, I've had the pleasure of working with the Power Platform. And the people in the product group and the people in the community are some of the most amazing people that I've ever met before. There is a passion around this platform that I have not seen since early in the Excel days. Like, people just get excited about this. I've seen people, and I'm not making this up, I've seen people moved to tears talking about the Power Platform and what it's done for them and their personal lives and their professional lives. So I'm super excited to present what we've done today.
My closest analogy is the .NET craze. You remember the .NET craze?
I remember the .NET craze.
The .NET effect. I would say that it's similar to that movement. So I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry, Pat.
Yeah, I was an ASP developer back in the day, and then all of a sudden .NET came around, and I was doing ASP.NET, and I was like, oh, okay. so this is how you do it. So we went from like stone tools to something more modern. Venu, how about yourself?
Hi everyone, it's Venu Gopal Gadamidi. I am from Hyderabad, India. It's close to 15 years in Microsoft and definitely gone through a lot of big profile applications and the services, right? The high business impact and all these things. But the last 1 year generally has been so exciting. With the PowerApps, I got transitioned into this project where we have the PowerApps and the Thrive related came into the picture. And the way I'm sailing through and the things we are landing up and all these things, it's pretty exciting journey. And we are keeping a lot of buzz and excitement for the next upcoming year also.
And I see Mehdi joined us. Mehdi, I thought you were going to be in Morocco and you weren't going to be able to join. Can you unmute yourself and actually introduce yourself? And I want to make sure that you talk about how your passion is design, because I want to get you on and do a design webinar.
All right, cool. So, okay, my name is Mehdi. I'm a program manager at Microsoft. Been in Microsoft for a while as well. I was actually one of the early devs on the Thrive ecosystem here that Pat would describe in length. So I was very lucky to early on get to play with PowerApps and see the kind of like the productivity gain. I actually came from a pure development app web, native development. So for me, the transition to PowerApps was an interesting one that I did, early on, but one that I actually appreciated after a while. So so I'll talk about design in a little bit, maybe when we get to the actual app.
Cool. And if you have not seen Mehdi's blog posts, Mehdi has this ability to squeeze every last ounce of performance out of PowerApps. Just look at his blog postings, and he has all these little tips and tricks. So you have Brian Dang on one hand, who does like this just amazing stuff, you know, where he like develops like full-on games on the Power Platform. And then you have Mehdi, who can like just wring performance out of it. So like we'll build an app and we'll go, hey, yeah, that looks pretty good. And we'll turn over to Mehdi and he just shakes his head at us and he just says, well, you didn't do this and this and this and this and this. So like read his blogs and like go through all those tips beyond just his design work. Okay, so let's talk about Thrive and what we did. So I'm showing a chart right here of our monthly usage. These are Thrive apps kind of in aggregation, and we have a monthly snapshot that we do of our apps. So we take a back-end report, unfortunately not available to the public yet, but it's on its way. So you'll be able to get like raw telemetry data out of the Power Platform. We take that data, we run Kusto queries, and we bring it into this Power BI report so we can get this like really nice monthly view of all of our apps. You can see on the bottom here, this is our high water mark. So of all of our Thrive apps, July was our highest usage month. We had almost 24,000 unique users that month, with 54,000 app launches across our app suite. Across the top, you can see what those apps are. So we just have a bunch of apps. I'll show some of them to you, so I won't drain it here. But just kind of the general trend is, we started development way back here in 2016, and we had this kind of internal sharing where we were, we had people use our apps and give us feedback. We tried to do a launch back here in October of 2017. And it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. We shared the apps with everybody. They tried it out. I looked at my metrics and it was like an instant fall off rate. Like they opened up the apps, they said, oh, okay, and they never came back. So we did a bunch of focus groups after that. We worked with people like Mehdi to see how we could optimize our apps. And what we found, there were like two things that the people told us. The one was, guys, you need more apps if you really want me to be in there in this ecosystem and stay there. Give me more to do. You give me one or two apps, well, great. When I need them, I guess I'll come and use them, but it's not a daily habit. And the other thing was just performance. It took forever for our apps to load, and so Mehdi really helped us then with optimizing those apps and really making them shine. We did a relaunch in April of 2018, and it stuck this time. And you can see, like in the beginning, some of the apps, had really high traffic and others had kind of low traffic. And as we've kind of progressed, that has really evened out. So each one of the bands has gotten, broader and more people are using our apps. So that's telling us that the apps are resonating with people. And then when I look at the unique users versus the number of launches, I can really see that people are coming back multiple times a month. So it's really started to stick. So this is kind of our general landscape here. Now let me kind of show you the solutions that we've built. So 3.5 years ago, Kathleen Hogan, who's our EVP of HR, had a conversation with Satya Nadella, our CEO. And the conversation went like this. We are a technology company. We're a mobile first, cloud first company. And what do we have internally for our employees? And they took stock of some of the apps that we have. Here is our time entry application. So this is called TAR, Time and Absence Reporting. This is what people use in the US to enter their time.
Every time that UI is shown, a fairy dies in Neverland.
And if I were to like do the view source right now, you'd see there's a whole bunch of VB script stuff in here. I've been at Microsoft for a long time. This was here for a long time when I started. I don't think anyone even knows who built this originally. It's an ASP app. I mean, if you look at it, this is ASP.ASPX, has VB script in it. It's awful. This is all fake data right here. You can see the name and that, so this isn't really me. But yeah, this is our experience. And we had new hires coming to Microsoft, and everybody's all excited. Oh, this is a technology company. We're going to do all this great stuff. And then during the orientation, they say, okay, well, here's how you enter your time. And the reaction from people was, wow, this looks like it got built by NASA in the 60s. You really, this company is like at the forefront of technology? Yeah, it doesn't really look like it. So there was this feeling that we had so many apps like this, and I could show you dozens of other apps like this. You have to know where they are. How do you get to them? The discovery part of it is terrible. The apps look awful. Every one of them looks different from another one. And if you look at the URL, this is inside of CorpNet here. So you had to get into the VPN to be able to even use this app. Okay, so the feeling was that we could build an experience over the top of all of our old legacy systems. And so we have systems that are third party, we have systems that are homegrown, we have SaaS services that we use. So it's this heterogeneous landscape, so many different apps. We wanted to have a unified design layer that sits over the top of that. So just a look and feel that was consistent across all of our apps and threading between those experiences. So we built the Thrive apps. We started with the Time Away app, since that was the one that we saw from our metrics, people use it the most and people complain about it the most. So we built Thrive Time Away. So here, I'll let it load so you can watch what the experience is like. So you get the PowerApps loader in the beginning. We added our own loader over the top of that. So we just do a quick check on the app. We load settings, like what are the other apps are in the ecosystem. We even do a check to see if this app is supposed to be in maintenance mode. And then we bring you right into the experience. And we went from that grid to the view of what we felt people wanted to see the most. And we did a lot of usability studies. This is what people wanted. They're like, show me my balance. And then from there, let me see my history really quickly. So we have a history tab here where you can see all the time off that you've taken. And then let me just quickly get into the submission of time. So we have a little plus sign up on the top. We did all this testing with users in heat maps to see like where they would click, and this tested really well. So then if we pick vacation, show you a calendar. So we went away from this grid. People hated this grid. They were like, show me a calendar. So we showed them a calendar. So then from here, we show you holidays for the month. We show you any time that you've already taken, and then you just tap on the days that you want to take, give you a chance to edit it. And then I exceeded my balance. So anyways, that's imagine that submission had gone through properly and that I didn't actually have my balance exceeded for the year. But that submission would have gone through really quickly. After that, we give you the ability then to notify your colleagues. So we have this check to Dell frequent contacts. We see who you work with the most. You can pick those people, send them a meeting invite, and then we also use Graph to write to your Exchange auto reply, so that for those days that you selected, that you have an automatic reply then for people. So this tested really well with people. What we found too was that we wanted the experience to be threaded. So once we got you into one of our apps, then we wanted people to be able to quickly get to the other apps in the solution. So we have this app launcher tray that we've added to each one of our apps. So here what we do. Currently, this is in Azure Table Storage, but I'm moving it to CDS right now, and so I have a list of all the apps, and we do a check against your credentials to see which apps you have access rights to, and for those apps, you can see them here, and you can just launch them. In the mobile experience, this would launch in place, so you would get this quick interstitial screen like this. Before you come into the experience. On the desktop, it just launches it in a new tab. So we're just using the launch function here. So here's our holidays app where we show you all the holidays for each calendar year, and give you the ability, so we just had Labor Day, give you the ability to read a little bit about it, take you to a link where you can read more about the holiday. For our apps, we've started adding surveys into them too. So we have the ability to rate the app, give it a 1 to 5 star rating. This we write back into CDS in the back end. And we do also have a link into user voice. So if people want to suggest a feature, you can come here to the More menu and you can suggest a feature, and then it'll link out to user voice for the application. So here's where you can suggest new ideas for the app. So, and then we also wanted to have an app that just kind of threads everything together. So like kind of have like a central launching experience. So we have the Home app, and the Home app is our it's like a news and content aggregator. So and then it has links to other apps in the ecosystem. So same as before. So we curate articles every day. And put them into here, and then people can read more about this article. They can click on here to see the full article on Microsoft.com or on SharePoint.com. And again, we have like a survey component in here. So the way the survey works is that we picked key scenarios in each one of the apps. So like for this one, it was like reading an article, and then when you come back out, then we ask you what your experience was. We don't do this every time. So once you've submitted feedback or clicked on the skip button, then we make it sleep for 90 days for that app. So in here we have an app launcher as well in the Home app, and that can take you to any one of the apps in the experience. Okay. So this is just kind of how we get people around in our apps. But we found like discoverability ended up being a real key issue for us. You build all these great apps, you get them out there in the ecosystem. Now, how do people find them? They have to know to go to PowerApps.com. And find the right environment and then find your app, or they have to know to download the PowerApps player. But we wanted to make it easier for people to get into the solutions than that. So if you look out on PowerApps.com, we have a number of blog postings that we put out there for discoverability. So these are the tips and tricks that we did to get people into the experience and to keep them in the experience. So we talk about things like QR codes and short URLs. We talk about embedding. We talk about deep linking. We talk about viral adoption through sending emails, like the Time Away app, for example. If I submit some time off and then tell my colleagues about it, the meeting invite that goes out to them has a link back to the Power App, so other people can see it. And we do the same thing with our Kudos app. So we send you a Kudo, and then there's a link back to the app where you can read your Kudo and you can submit more Kudos. And we really found that there was a viral adoption by doing that. So just to kind of take a breath for a moment, Charles, Venu, anything? want to make sure I'm not sucking the air out of the room. Anything you guys want to add or questions?
No, you are doing a great job, Mehdi. Sorry to step on top of you. I've had a couple requests to actually talk about how you look at organizations and people. So you might show that, and I know that you did it a little bit before we actually had the Graph API implemented, so you might want to talk about that. But that was the only thing that I know that people have asked about coming into your webinar. Mehdi, go ahead.
Yeah, probably I was trying to talk about it. So Pat, as you rightly mentioned, right, that was an awesome experience for the people. But if you look at the time away related one, there you are able to see that it is only accessible within car, multi-factor, or the form factors, all form factors supportability. Those are some of the greatest things which is now is like excited for the people, right? Wherever they are on their mobile, they are just going and applying for the vacations and a time away. That was an awesome experience, which is the people are driving crazy about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been really phenomenal. So our tagline is that you can submit your vacation and tell your colleagues about it before you've kicked your bags 5 feet down in the TSA line. It's you just pull out your mobile device, you see that UI that I showed you, and it's just it's really fast, it's intuitive. We have one feature in our backlog that I'm just dying to add, and that is the clear your calendar feature. So after you've done all that, you've submitted your time off and you've told everybody about it, that just one button to just clear your calendar. I'm gone for the next 2 weeks. I don't want to be bothered. I want to just clear everything. Here's one button that will do it. I did want to show just really quick. I'll go on to the work stuff. I did want to show the embed piece of it. So if you go to bing.com and you sign in with your corporate credentials. So here you can see I'm signed in as me with my work account. Then what you can do is you can use a Microsoft search for Bing with bookmarks and PowerApps. And this is really cool. Like you talk to your administrator after you build a Power App and you say, okay, if somebody's logged in with their credentials and they search for this word and they belong to this security group and they're on this device, show them this in the search results. And you don't have to do all those things. You know, those are just the different like search facets that you can do. At the very least, you can just, do it by keywords. So here you can see that I just searched for time away. I can also search for vacation. I can search for kudos. I can search for holidays, and then those things just link to the various apps that we have. So this is the app right here. This is the actual app. It's fully functional, and I could submit my time off right here, right out of the Bing search. The other thing that we've done is so once you have that app created, you can also embed it in Teams. So if I come out here to my Teams, and if I have a channel that's already been set up, then just click on the plus button up here, search for PowerApps. And then what this will do is it'll show you all the PowerApps that you have access to in your tenant, and let you just embed them right here in your Teams channel. So if I search for time away, here, let me take the UAT version that this one here, and you can post and let everybody know about it if you want to. But this is the same app right here, so same exact app. And so, what kind of to build off of what Venu said, like when you build a Power App, you can extend you can extend functionality that's kind of trapped inside of CorpNet, and you can make it available externally. But you can also take an app that you've built, you build it one time and you can reuse that app in so many different places. So this same app, it is available in the desktop browser. It's available on iOS. It's available on Android, and you can see it in Bing search. You can see it right here inside of this Teams channel, and you can do the same thing inside of a SharePoint site. So if you have a SharePoint site, this has to be a modern SharePoint page. You can just simply search for Power Apps here. And this UI is a little bit different. Like you just have to give it like the URL for the app or the ID for the app. So there you just go out to powerapps.com and you find your app, and from there, let's see. So if I find my time away UAT app and I go to details and I just copy this app ID and just drop it in here. There's my app again. And this is super cool because the app drops in here and it's completely Chromeless. There's nothing around the outside of this app. So, imagine having like a time away app like this, and you have like policy information around the outside of it. Here's our holiday policy, here's our sick leave policy, and it's just right there next to the Power App. This is just super cool. So like I think a lot of people have created SharePoint lists and they've created like a Power App off of that. This is kind of the opposite. Like you create a Power App and then you come back and you embed it in your SharePoint site and you really extend the functionality of your SharePoint site. You don't need to have a SharePoint developer. You just have a Power Apps citizen developer that develops an app, and you can just drop it anywhere like this. Okay, so let's talk about organization. So we have the people app that we've built, and let me come back to my dev environment, and I'll show you this this app out here. So we one of the apps that we wanted to build early on was a people browser. So we wanted the ability to look through the organization, see your own profile, be able to see the your management hierarchy, see your frequent contacts all in one shot, and be able to find anybody within the corporate network and interact with them. So I'll show you some of this app here. Okay, so I have my people browser app. Let me launch this guy. Okay, and you can see the Department of Justice has gone through this one and redacted information that might incriminate someone. But here's me. Here's my manager. We can look through the org hierarchy and we can see, how everything rolls up through the management chain. We can pull up frequent contacts. So this is all just talking to the Office 365 users connector. So this is just completely out of the box. I can take this app and I can give it to anyone in the world, and they can just simply install it in their PowerApps tenant, and it just works. It just simply works, which is just really neat. Just having that out of the box functionality. There's no there's no installation that you have to do with the app. So when you find somebody here, let me search for. I'll search for Charles. So here's Charles. And you can see here's Charles's information. So here we have the ability to interact with them. I can click on the email link and it would spawn like a new mail window. I can, if he supplied his mobile number, I can click on that. It'll call him on my mobile device. It'll launch LinkedIn and it'll like do a non-deterministic search and try to find Charles at Microsoft at my company. So this is just a really neat little app that our team has built. The thing that we're adding to this app is themes. So we have a light theme and a dark theme right now. And the way that we do that is every UI control in the app just inherits from a variable. And so we have these themes collections that we've created. And so like as soon as you change the theme, everything in the app just changes to the colors in that theme. The next thing that we'll do with this is we're going to add this to CDS. So we'll have the ability in CDS to define themes, to be able to create extra themes. So like if you're at a company and your colors are green and blue, that you could have a theme where everything is green and blue, and that's like your company theme. That's the default theme. And when you choose a theme, then we're going to save that into CDS in your user settings, so that like it remembers it the next time that you launch the app.
Now, for those, I've had this a couple times. I know that Pat and Mehdi are working on packaging this, so I'll let them talk about that when they finish up. But for those of you that want that kind of functionality that he was just playing with, there's a template called First Steps. So if you go File, New, and PowerApps, and there's a First Steps template that actually shows a lot of what Pat was doing. It's not as pretty, but it actually does show a lot of that functionality. Sorry, Pat. I again didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the First Steps template, was done kind of in conjunction with us building this app. In the meantime, we've evolved this app. So our intention then is to publish this on App Source, so anybody can download it from there. We'll also put the Kudos app, the Home app, the Holidays app, and then other apps, time permitting, will be posted up there too.
Do you have a target ETA that you're hoping for? Or?
The People app is up there right now.
Okay.
It's in preview. I know that Mehdi's team put these solutions up on a share as well, so we'll provide the link for that share.
I think coming days there will be a blog post. So it's a light version of those apps. I mean, most of the functionality is in there. It's built on CDS, so it's coming up in the next few days, I think.
Oh, if you need help with that, Mehdi, let me know. I don't do things like spell checking, so I'm usually pretty quick.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Now, what was kind of interesting about this? So as we started to build these apps, we noticed a couple of things. So the first was that there was no real good standards guide. How do you build a Power App? I mean, so you go to PowerApps.com and there's great tutorials out there. I mean, they're fantastic. And you go on YouTube and there's guys like Todd Baginski that just do these, phenomenal walkthroughs of, today I'm going to show you how to do X, and they show you, like step by step how to do something really cool. What we wanted to do is we wanted to kind of codify that, like this is how you build a Power App. And then we wanted to do that with our own apps, because what we found is, we had a number of people working on our apps over the years. So we had some that were built by a citizen developer team in Chennai. We had some that were built by Venu's team in Hyderabad. Some that were built just kind of by enthusiasts in the community, and they wanted to contribute. Mehdi built some of our apps too back in the day. So you can really see, who touched the app. And, just like how I showed you that Time Away app, the original one in CorpNet, like there's so many different apps that we have, inside of Microsoft, and they're all built by different teams at different times. And you open it up and it's a nightmare, because you have to learn how this team did it, and it's totally different than how other teams did it. So we wanted to build this or create a guide on standards. So we wrote this PowerApps Canvas app coding standards and guidelines doc. This is up on the blog. This is a 35-page PDF. We're actually going to republish this doc and put it out on Git so that other people in the community can contribute to it. And we'll take it out of a PDF and just have it be like a markup doc instead. But for now, it's available as a PDF. Mehdi contributed to this. Venu and his team contributed. And if you look at the list of people that's in here, these are some of like the Power Apps champions that are out there in the world. Guys like Keith Watling that are just really prominent. Guys like Brian Dang, and just like phenomenal people like Audrey and Denise that have just built like these really cool Power Apps over the years. So this doc just talks about like if you want to build a Power App and you want to build it right, here's how you do it. Here's how you name your screens. Believe it or not, that matters, right? Here's how you name the objects. Here's how you do your variable naming. And then when it comes time to put your formulas in there, basically your code, like how do you do it? How do you do it right? When do you put it in the on select versus in on visible versus in the app on start? How do you put it in the right place so that it'll load the fastest and that'll be the easiest to find, and that it works the best with accessibility. So if you haven't looked at this document, take a look at this document. This is a contribution of a lot of people in the industry and within Microsoft that worked on this. So it's one thing to like say how to do it. It's another thing to do it. And like I said, like our apps have been built over the years. And so if you open up my apps today, they don't look like this. And so we're rewriting the apps so that they do look like this. So that People Browser app that I mentioned, the People Browser app actually was built like this. So if you open up the People Browser app, and again, this will be available publicly, so you can download this and you can kind of play with this yourself and see how we built it, and see some of the patterns that we're using inside of here. But yeah, all of our screens are named so that they can be read correctly by assistive technology. Every one of these apps has gone through a full accessibility review using the accessibility checker that's inside of PowerApps, as well as using accessibility insights, which is just search for it externally, and you can find that. And then we've also done a pass with an internal validation team. So, like, we just have this this app. Let's see. So I have like a settings screen here. So what I've done is, or what my team has done is to created the settings screen, and we have this thing that will let the app either kind of auto launch or not. So when you go to the loading screen, if that check mark is on, then it'll do a redirect to the profile page. If that toggle is off, then it'll stay at the screen, because we want it to do the redirect, but we also need the ability to come back in and edit the code if it's necessary. So yep, there's a people browser app. Any other questions?
You know, I actually meant to ask Keith this. We did a call where he walked through the coding standards is just at getting started. If you just go out and do these 5 things, or even before whatever the app is, you always do the same thing. Now that you've written a couple of these apps, would you have any guesstimates as far as how much time you save just by going out and having a set of prescribed starting points, regardless of the app, versus going out and doing discovery almost after the fact? Is it like 5%, 10, or?
Oh, it's an order of magnitude.
Okay, all right.
We built these apps. When we first built the apps, this was pre-GA, and there wasn't even the tab index property didn't even work properly back then. I mean, there were no ARIA tags, nothing. So if you looked at the HTML that was output, it was completely inaccessible. So that's how we started, that soft launch that we had way back when. So then we came after the fact, and the Power Platform group, developed the accessibility checker, started putting in all these controls like live labels and hover text, and tab index began to work, and so then we had to go back and fix our stuff, and this is before components, right? So when we built the apps, every single screen, if it had a toolbar, then we just did a copy and paste. And so every screen had the same issues, and we had to go fix it everywhere. So now, we do things like we have components. So if you need to make it fix, you make it in one spot instead of making it
all the apps pick it up. Yeah.
Exactly right. And we just we think of these things ahead of time. We do also have a doc. Let's see. So there's a separate white paper that Venu's team wrote on accessibility. Venu, you want to talk about this one?
Oh yeah. So accessibility is the fast catching industry standards now. Every organization is now cognizant about the accessibility, and we thought this is a great opportunity for us to define the accessibility standards in a better way, so thereby the industry can leverage it effectively. So we have written this accessibility standard document. It predominantly, in a nutshell, it talks about how can you create a PowerApps application in a much more meeting the accessibility standards at a global level. It talks about the interactive labels, how to use it, how to take care about the timers, how to take care about the different labels, the live labels and other aspects. So we have defined all the standards. The people can definitely go back and use it as a reference point for creating any of the applications in an accessibility mode.
Yeah, this document has really been a lifesaver for our team. When you think about it, the Power Platform is accessible, right? Like I can create an app, and all the controls, are accessible as long as you go in and you do the right things. So you go into a label and you put like your alt text and it's accessible. So it works on mobile. So if you have assistive technology on your mobile device, it works if you have a screen reader on the desktop. But that being said, you can still get yourself in so much trouble. So think about, like all the cool tips and tricks that you've seen, like Venu just said, there's a timer. Okay, so you have a timer, and every 30 seconds it does something on the screen, and something flashes up on the screen, and there's some text up there. If you don't build that right, it won't be accessible. It will not announce itself to a blind user of your application, someone that's using the app, and this thing flashes up, and your sighted users are able to see it and read it, and a blind user with this assistive technology will never know that something changed on the screen unless if you do it right. So this document talks about how to do that. It also talks about, like, if you're creating compound controls. So you're nesting, one control inside of another one, and when you get focus on one thing, that the focus is supposed to drop to a sub control, or it's supposed to announce itself that this is a composite control. If you don't do that right, it's completely unintelligible to your users with assistive needs. The cool thing is, like, coming up here, it's just about in preview. I think it is in preview right now. It's on the October roadmap. PCF, the PowerApps component framework, will allow you to create pro-dev controls using HTML and CSS and JavaScript. And then if you really want to talk to the DOM, and you want to like do keyboard press intercepts, and you want to like really flesh out like your ARIA attributes, you can talk to everything at the HTML level, and it'll be super powerful for people that want to create very like robust apps that look and feel like a native app, but that are also accessible to people.
Those custom visuals are pretty cool, and the ones that you guys have access to on the phone right now are the model based. I just picked up a build yesterday that did Canvas. Yeah. So the team's not far away. So again, custom controls like Power BI has had for a long time is now available in PowerApps. Pretty cool stuff. A couple of queries for the link to that coding standards. I already put that in there. I already put the accessibility link in there as well. And a question we did get from Anonymous, so I don't know, I can't thank the person. Do we need the PowerApps on Android to launch the Thrive Home app? I'm not certain I understand the question, but I usually use it from the web, and I always have access to the app launcher. So do you know what he's talking about, Pat?
So the way I understand that question is like how can I like launch Thrive apps? So the first thing is like when you belong to a company, like so we work at Microsoft. So when I log into PowerApps.com, I log in with my Microsoft credentials, and I see certain apps that have been created and shared with me within the tenant. So those are the apps that I see. If you work at another company, like say Coca-Cola or Nike or Starbucks, you log in with your credentials there, and you'll see a totally different set of applications than I would. But the cool thing is that everyone is a maker. So if you have PowerApps, if you work at a company and you have PowerApps, then you can make your own apps. You log into PowerApps.com and you'll be in a default environment. You're a maker there. You can make your own apps. You can go out to PowerApps.com and you can find these accelerators that Charles is talking about, and open up the app and save it into your tenant, and now you've got that app. So same with the Thrive apps. If you want the Thrive apps, the ones that we've shared with people, and as we keep on putting more of these out there, take the app and import it into your tenant, and it's ready to go. We're going to put these out there as what's called an unmanaged solution. So you'll be able to open it up, you'll be able to edit it, you can see how we built it, you can modify it however you want. So if you need to customize it, knock yourself out. So you'll be able to see the Thrive apps, in your own tenant. Now, as far as like what devices you can see it on, that's one of the really cool things about the Power Platform. You build it once and you consume it everywhere. So once I've created an app and I've shared the app, then I can open up that app on my mobile browser. So like if you have, Android and you have, Chrome for Android, go to PowerApps.com and sign in. You can see all your apps. Even better, you can download the mobile client. So go to the Android App Store, download PowerApps, and sign in there. Much smoother experience, and then you can see the apps that have been shared with you there. One cool benefit about using it on mobile is that the package gets downloaded to your client. So there's like a little runtime package, and then there's the app package, and so the first time that you launch it, it'll say downloading, but then from there, like it just uses the package that it's already downloaded, and like your second time of using the app is going to be radically faster than the first time. And I forgot to mention too, like one question I get a lot is, hey, if I'm building apps like this, should I build one giant app or should I build a bunch of smaller apps? And we really debated it in the beginning. Like, we thought, Thrive, we want people to just find Thrive and just be in it. And once you're in it, you get to do everything. You can spend your time away, see your holidays, check the news feed. But we quickly realized that if we did that, you'd end up with some 20 meg, maybe even bigger file that would have to get downloaded to your mobile client. And every time that we made a change to it, so if I go into the time away piece and I go, I'm going to change the graphic here, that whole package needs to be re-downloaded. And really, put yourself in the shoes of your users. Let's say that you have a field engineer and that person is working on an oil rig, somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico. Or you have someone that's on a mid-range Android device and they're in a coffee shop in Bangalore, and the network connectivity isn't that good. Keep your apps small. Keep your apps kind of self-contained and atomic, and then use the launch function to deep link between one app and another. So what we do is we have a table, which will now be in CDS, that says, here's my app, here's the icon for the app, here's the URL to the app, and then here's a status, whether or not this app, should be shown right now, or whether, the app is in maintenance mode and I don't want to show it. So we just have a list of those of the apps, and so then when you're in any one of our apps, we show you the app launcher tab, and you can quickly get to another app in the solution. And so that way we keep our file sizes really small. If I make a change to time away, I only change time away, and the blast radius is kind of reduced. And that really there's a couple of benefits to reducing your blast radius. The one is you can make a change to just one piece, and only that one piece needs to be re-downloaded. Every one of my apps here is 700K or less. They're really small. The other thing is for testing. Like let's say that you make a change and you have this gigantic app, and now there's deep links that come into the app, where you pass a launch parameter, and you're looking at the param function, and if it's edit mode is true, or the screen equals time away, you're gonna do a navigate and take them to a certain screen within that app. You've made that app so much more complex. How do you test it when you make a change to just the time away piece? You have to really test the holiday piece too, to make sure that you didn't accidentally break something. And what if you have multiple teams? What if you have one team that's working on the holiday piece, and another team working on the time away piece? So that allows you to have multiple people, multiple teams working on different parts of the app, and you just thread it all together using something like that launcher tab.
That's very, very, very cool. Mehdi, do you still have your microphone? Are you still there? I think the next question might be best for you, because you've actually built lots of different production apps and you've gone through this decision tree. The question is how do you decide to use a dedicated CDS or have its own database for the data repository? I think we lost Mehdi. Yeah, Mehdi, I think we lost you, buddy. I think we lost your feed. Okay. With that, Let's go ahead and have Pat and Vanu. Any closing words? You know, if you had to go back and look at it again, big changes that you do different. I mean, again, I love the end result. I want to make sure we say that what you've done here for Microsoft is amazing. But looking back, any words of wisdom for people starting on the journey that you guys are doing now?
Venu?
Yeah, I think you covered the most. The people should ensure that for PowerApps, start with the small apps, right? Divide as far as possible. That makes the lives easy at the same time more productive, right? That's the one take we really loved the experience from the Pat.
Yeah, and I think I would add to that, dive in. I went, so every week we see these customer success stories. If you look out on the PowerApps blog, you can see stories from companies like Ariva, Keith Watling. You can see Red Cross with Nick Gill, and like Remy from SNCF. And these are people that came in with really no knowledge about the Power Platform. They were brand new to it. Maybe they had some development experience. Maybe they just had a passion for their customers and they wanted to build something for them. But just dive in. It's super easy. There's a huge community out there. The community is very responsive. If you post a question out there on the community forum, you'll have 5 people answer you within that day. It's just get in there and try stuff. And just remember that the platform is always evolving. What I saw 3 years ago to what I see today is a night and day difference. I mean, we really made the strategic bet on it 3 years ago, and I was constantly pulling out my hair, and but in the meantime, every time that we found an issue, like I raised my team raised like 500 bugs, and we said, product group, you got to fix this. And they said, sure, yeah, we'll fix that. And they fixed 350 of those 500 bugs that we've submitted to them. They are super passionate about this. They're an agile team. They have weekly releases. They get so excited about what they do because they're able to really empower people out there to do just amazing stuff. So dive in, explore the community, have some fun with it, reach out to people, see what other people have done, look at the YouTube videos, look at the tutorials, look at the blog postings, and you'll just be amazed.
Yep,
Pat.
it's a wonderful ecosystem, actually. Yeah, right. If you have any dream, right, don't wait for it. Just get into the Power Apps. You will make your dreams live. That's the best way you can do it.
Yeah, channeling Brian Deng, just go in, be fearless, and I'm sure you'll get something fun actually created. I mean, look at him. What an inspirational story. So, Vanu, Pat, Mehdi, thank you very, very, very much. I'm back with Todd Baczynski in 2 more weeks, and we're actually going to have a big contest. We're actually going to have a bunch of the people who've been doing community contributions. There's a bunch of samples that people have been checking in, like Vanu and Pat, and there's other samples like there's a earthquake indicator and there's tide chart things, and we're going to go out and have them walk through, give them like 8 minutes per app, walk through their app, and then we're going to actually have a winner. The winner is going to win a all expense paid trip. Well, the charter itself for a charter salmon weekend off of Ocean Shores. Pat, I'll give you 10 guesses as to who that's going to be with.
Is it local boating enthusiast Charles Sterling?
It is a local boating enthusiast and fishing expert. Charles Sterling is going to take these guys out. Otherwise, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And Pat, I hope you get in the air soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.